Disaster averted. Southwest and Spirit Airlines nearly collided. They were at 30,000 feet in the air. And now
there should be pictures. Show the
picture. Look at the picture. Look how insane this looks. And these are two commercial planes. And this is the thing, is a lot of these planes, they have autopilot. They put certain coordinates.
How did that happen?
Exactly.
Was one above the other?
They were right above each other. So they must have had the same coordinates in the airplane because they have special coordinates like roads that we have in streets.
Wait a second. Can we go back to that picture?
Yeah,
certain
it wasn't
altitude.
until you showed those pictures where it...
Yeah, it's not.
So if I understand correctly, certain altitudes correspond with certain directions. So if you're at like 33,000 feet, you can only be going east, west.
That's messed up.
This one.
Pardon me?
That's really messed up.
Yeah, it's scary looking. But if you're, so if you're going, if
They're
you're
like
at a certain
highways in the sky.
Yeah, so certain altitudes means you're going one direction.
Like they have windows in the cockpit.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I'm sorry.
What did you say?
Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
What did you say?
I said, how come they couldn't see each other? Don't they have windows in the cockpit?
I mean, look, you don't really have a window that's looking up or down. You've seen what the cockpits look like.
You're really reliant on
it's
when I was a kid and I used to fly back and forth between my parents in Boston and New York. Sometimes the pilot would let me look in the cockpit and he'd give me a little set of wings.
Yeah, and those are like, it's kind of narrow.
It's little,
you know?
And nobody gives a shit about that. What we do give a shit about is colliding. Like nobody gives a shit. Everybody's gotten stupid plastic wings in the plane.
No, they
haven't.
Libby,
I want to answer your
you
question.
don't
Is
see
they
them
can't
anymore.
see. They don't have rear view mirrors. Sometimes in like the
Okay,
737 they
thank
have cameras which can look all around them. But the point is, to what Phil was saying, is like they have special coordinates at certain elevations. They have to go in certain directions. So this could only happen if their coordinates are together. So that's why AI. This is why. This is a bigger issue because they should have not. The computer should have never been set to where this could even be possible because it's incredibly dangerous. And we've already had an aviation disaster where 2 people collided and a bunch of people died.
There have been a bunch of near misses.
They say not to fly into Newark. The Newark, New Jersey, that there's ex-workers that literally said that. They were aviation workers, and they said they would not fly into Newark, New Jersey if their life depended on it. But there's also people that Boeing whistleblower said that he went in the new Boeing factory in Seattle when they made the 737 MAX 8 jet, and there's actually hidden camera, Project Veritas style interviews where people are like, man, I wouldn't fly on this plane. I wouldn't fly on this plane.
Well, I suggested that other article because my friend wrote it recently and sent it to me, the one about AI, and it was so interesting because it was saying how like most of these near misses or even accidents are the problem of human error. And air traffic controllers, which are now very understaffed and very overworked. And that's why this conversation about AI is becoming more and more prominent. But there's a lot of, as much as AI can apparently help with being able to spot certain things ahead of time, apparently it's very limited when it comes to unpredictable situations, like things that are not on historical flight maps or anything like that. And so there's also a lot of questions, and people also wonder if using AI, because you'll have to do it in conjunction with actual like analog and human, like you're going to have a human always controlling that. And the question is whether having that AI is going to make air traffic controllers let their guard down even more than they are and be over-reliant on the technology. So there's just a lot of like up in the air questions, and people who are in this industry the article was so interesting because different people just have such opposite opinions on it in the industry, but very firm opinions, like either pro or against the AI elements of it.
Well, I mean, obviously there could be backdoors. Maybe it could be hacked. Maybe it could be used, like you said, where people get too reliant on it and they get lazy because, like, there's Uber Eats drivers that have been driving the same city for 5 years and they don't even know where they're at because they're so reliant on these apps and AI. So, yeah, I think it is very dangerous. Jamie, do you fly a lot? You said you fly to all these states. Are you worried about getting in an accident?
I wasn't until now.
You should be. It's horrible. A lot of near misses.
Really terrifying.
And the pilots are all crazy, too. A lot of them are on all kinds of stuff. Well, there's a guy that Southwest Airlines a pilot got arrested for DUI trying to fly a plane drunk.
Did he really?
Yeah, it just happened here. Pull it up. Yeah, it happened like less than a month ago. Yeah, so and
some of the Jimmy Dore thing, like Jimmy Dore right here was in a plane. I saw this. He mentioned how apparently they were like within 500 feet of each other, like 1400
that's right. I remember
and
that
1450.
one.
I remember this exactly right. And
honestly, my flight today into DC, I thought there was something wrong at the end because it was just back and forth.
See, that's what it does.
back and forth.
And did you fly into Reagan? Reagan has such a
Yeah.
weird thing where you have to do all those turns. I know people. It's just
I
because
was
it's so-
motion sick in the plane.
A lot of people get sick
Yeah.
flying into Reagan because they make you make those hard turns. But this is where I get worried about aviation. Like the MAX 8 plane, that's the Boeing plane where the whistleblower was talking about. That was having a computer issue where the pilots were just totally fine, and the plane would just start nosediving, and a couple of the pilots weren't able to correct in time. So it's like there's also an argument to be made that DEI has caused that because they're using cheap Indian coders to make this, software for Boeing. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's weird that the highest technology, the computer is what's messing up. And
Oh, that is weird.
that's what I'm saying with these Boeing planes. It's like they can't even write the code right. So I don't.
Wait, but I thought Indians were like the best coders.
They say that, but they lie. They're the best at lying on their resumes. Actually,
Right now, AI is the best coder.
Yeah, AI
Gotten to the
is,
point where AI can write code better than any human.
But then imagine they use a AI code and there is a hiccup in there, and it's
And they
because
don't
they use
see it.
AI to do it. There's just always a possibility, like
Right.
the MAX 8 jets that had this.
Right now, AI is a tool. It works best as a tool for something that has a person in the beginning and a person check the work. So you have someone that's really good at coding. AI makes them insanely good at coding. You get someone that's good at, it's essentially just a tool, right? Still,
AI
right now.
has been a terrible tool in what I do, though. As an advocate and like working on the T issue, I mean, we cannot use any of these, at least the chat, the Google Gemini, like they're all totally language captured. Like I can't even ask.
You're saying it's woke. You can't even get real.
Oh,
information.
no. It like will straight up tell me like you're being a transphobic.
Well,
and,
Grok
like,
turned
you
into
can't
Nazi
say this.
Grok because of people like.
Well, a big problem is that the AI as it exists now is being trained on woke, liberal, leftist media and content. So these AI companies don't see a reason to train their LLMs on conservative media like the Post Millennial or the New York Post. They just don't do it.
I mean,
and
I
so you
literally-
have like
yeah, every time I go to ChatGPT,
AI advocates who are conservative trying to advocate for these companies to not be regurgitation machines for leftist ideology, and it's really been tough for them to get that through. And it's not just ChatGPT. Grok too, right? I mean,
every
it's
time
not
I
a
go in,
problem.
That wouldn't
I
affect
literally
air
have to
traffic
say
control,
to
right?
it, though.
No,
Like, I
but
get that it would affect other
it
areas
would
in
affect
aviation.
what
It
Jamie's
affects what
talking
I do.
about.
I
Yeah.
go into
Right,
ChatGPT.
So
and I
it
say
feeds
to
you
every
lies.
time I say, "Do you remember who I am?" And
No.
it will.
It's not going to remember who you are.
Well, it'll say things like, "Oh, yes, you're a whistleblower." One time it replied to me. It said, "Yes, I know that you never want me to refer to anyone as Mix, as an honorarium MX." It was like, you told me that that's off limits. But it'll slide,
It makes stuff up. I mean, you also have the problem of
does.
Someone
AI
introduced me on a
making stuff
podcast
up.
last week, and I was like, "Do you want a bio?" And they were like, "No, I used AI." And then they just read it. It was totally wrong.
It's totally wrong.
It lies. Like they've done AI where they asked it like who won the 1974 World Series, and it's like the Texas Rangers versus this, and that the Rangers weren't even a
Okay,
team.
but
so they
you're
get
telling
stuff
me
wrong.
that it can't even find that out, but I'm supposed to trust it to fly the plane?
Well, it's
and
funny you
maneuver
say
them
that.
in
I mean, look,
space?
but so you're talking about different technologies, right? An LLM is not the same thing
Language
as
learning model.
a large language model is not the same thing
Okay.
as like say your chess game, right? Chess is when you play against the computer, you're playing against an artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's like we haven't found a cure for the common cold, but we can perform the most intimate
Well, the
spinal
co- but the
surgeries,
reason-
whatever. It's different.
Yeah, it's different things. And so like when you're talking about like, so for instance, we use this example all the time. The Tesla's full self-driving is artificial intelligence, and it is a totally different type of artificial intelligence than a large language model. It's actually identifying things in the world. It uses cameras to see the same way that humans do, and it identifies things, and it can actually drive. Now, I've got a Tesla, and I just drove out to Loudoun County today. The entire way was full self-driving. The entire way back was full self-driving. There's one time that I had to turn it off because for some reason it doesn't like toll booths. It just wants to keep going through them. But for the most part, other than the toll booth, it was perfectly fine.
There's something so interesting to me in that. So you're telling me that it works when it's having to recognize the reality around it and operate within reality. But language is all about control. And part of the problem I have with it is it wants to control our language.
I understand what you're saying, but when you use the word it, you're specifying you're not specifying which one. You're talking about AI as all of them. All of AI is it, right? And it's not. A full self-driving algorithm, or the AI in full self-driving, is a totally different machine, totally different algorithm, totally different thing from a large language model. We use this phrase AI as a blanket term, and it's not really functional anymore. The way that AI is, the way that these technologies are evolving, it's not correct to say AI is all the same. Large language models are not the same as full self-driving, which are not the same as the AIs that will generate video or audio. It's not the same as, there are all these different types of AI. And what people tend to think is all the AI is kind of going towards what you would call AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. And they're not really 100% sure, or there's differing opinions on whether or not AGI will ever actually be a thing.
Well, regardless, the problem with, and obviously you heard Phil talk about how he was in his Tesla and he didn't have to do anything, and the problem there is that there are some negative side effects. Like they're saying that these pilots that rely on AI are not able to basically handle a stressful situation because they don't have any experience because they're always on autopilot. And I think that's when we talk about the negative side effects. That's one of the major ones because we don't.
Yeah. You were trying to talk about taxi drivers earlier. There's actually research studies that showed like old school taxi drivers, like the parts of their brain that was mapping the city around them was actually
you have to challenge your brain to make it remember things.
Yeah.
You have to.
I find that even just moving here to DC, and it's like I haven't even learned the roads because I'm just so reliant on GPS when I drive.
Yeah, you
You never will. It's DC. You're never gonna.
Yeah, you're never gonna learn
DC.
it.
But I mean, if you move to a new city and you don't have GPS, you're actually forced to use that part of your brain.
Everybody has
to develop
GPS,
like
though.
spatial
Everybody has
awareness.
GPS.
I know, but it's kind of sad. I mean, even
It
like.
is. I remember you used to have to print it out, and you'd have MapQuest,
remember?
and you'd make a wrong turn, and you'd be totally screwed. You'd
You'd have to
we
pull
would
into a gas station.
Yeah.
We would do
And actually
entire
speak to
tours.
somebody.
So from one venue to the next venue for a whole month, mapped all out. We had the big binder. You'd go on
You know what I
tour.
used to do? I used to just have a map.
We all had the map too, but
God,
you had
the
the MapQuest too because it did it for you.
So we had the map.
Like
quest,
Libby,
but
that
our
is so
parents had-
fucking annoying. You're
know.
gonna map shame us. Like I didn't use MapQuest. I'm so smart. I read books. Have you ever heard of a map? Yeah, Libby, we know what a map is. We
I
had
don't think
maps
you
too.
do.
We
I don't
just
think
liked
you
it because
do.
it gave us point
God,
by
I
point
don't think you
directions.
do.
Like Libby, you're not
Drove
cool.
you right
because-
into the lake.
Oh, you know what I had in my car?
She's so much better
I didn't
than
even have a
everyone.
car.
She uses a
An
map.
atlas.
Shit, Sherlock, you had a map. Everybody had a map back then. We didn't have GPS. Sorry, I'm getting
an
mad, but
atlas.
I didn't have a car though. I did not have a car.
Then what would you use?
What
the
good
map
was
for?
the map?
Walking around with the
With a
giant
map? That's crazy.
While you were
Pilot for my
walking?
mom.
Okay.
Oh,
For
okay.
your mom. So you're in your mom's car. So you were in a car.
didn't
Once
have a
again, you're gaslighting us.
I wasn't
you
driving.
were in a car. You're like, I didn't have a car. What? But you were using the map in a car. Your mom's car.
You're fun. You're fun too.
I know because I'm hot. I get hot, and then we got all these
Yeah.
women in here, and I just get
You
you
just
know.
can't handle it.
You can't
And I
handle the
don't even
hotness.
want to repeal the 19th Amendment. I still think you broads should be able to vote for some weird reason.
Just you three, though.
No, y'all are low on the totem pole. You shouldn't
my
vote. The chat is
goodness.
saying, why does she have an Israeli flag bigger than the American flag? And I think I agree
I'm
with
in
that.
Mossad.
To trigger
two American
the
flags.
chat,
Watch
literally.
them clip that. Watch them clip me.
Specifically to
three
trigger the chat.
American
They will clip
things.
it. And
They
then
should
she
clip it.
admitted
It's 4 American things and one.
Oh yeah, no, I have the 4 USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's smaller than the Israel flag.
Yeah, because they didn't have a big. I got them all at the same place, and they didn't have a big USA one.
As long as you don't have a progress pride flag, you're fine with me.
Now, I think some people would find that flag
Oh,
more
like
offensive than a pride flag.
some people would. Yeah,
Some people would.
I don't mind that.
Do you think
be
that?
offended.
Oh, this is a good topic. What do you guys think about? And I know you guys already covered it, but I think the flag burning. I really don't like it. But at the same time, if they made it illegal to burn a flag with the Star of David, then I think it should be illegal to burn an American flag too. But I believe in freedom of speech. I
What
guess,
about it
Phil,
being
what do you
illegal
think?
to burn the Progress Pride flag?
Yeah, this
Is it illegal to burn the pride flag?
There should be a
places,
special
yeah.
day to burn
This
those,
is our
and
new
all
little
you do
flag.
is burn them.
We
Oh,
cut
you
out the little.
cut out the thing.
We
Wait,
got.
I thought no. It's just I don't know. I fully support that it's illegal to burn the American flag in America.
Nope.
I support it. But I totally understand why people don't. But
I would never burn an American flag, but I made the argument that the Ninth Amendment covers burning the American flag.
I was here for that. I don't think you should be burning stuff in public parks. I'm pretty sure burning things in parks is illegal.
Yeah, but what about in your backyard? Like, I think they're still going to say.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do whatever you want in your backyard.
Can you still burn a flag in your backyard and post it on Instagram?
Maybe not if it's an HOA. You know.
No, but I'm saying
Then it's not really your house if
no
it's an HOA.
I'm just saying,
you don't
in
own
your
anything.
backyard. I don't know what the legal ramifications are. If you could go in your backyard and film it, is that a crime?
So to this point about burning in your backyard or whatever, like
why the Ninth Amendment isn't that like the right
the Ninth Amendment. Well, okay, I'll explain it. So the idea of whether or not you should be allowed to burn a flag or whether or not burning a flag should be a crime is one idea, right? Whether or not you can burn something in public is a distraction from the primary talking point, right? Or the primary discussion. The discussion is not whether or not you can commit arson. The discussion is not whether or not you can burn things that are not your property. The discussion is whether or not it should be legal to burn the American flag, right? That's the primary topic. As for the Ninth Amendment reads, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So the Bill of Rights is simply a list of things that the federal government cannot do. There is no limitation in either the Constitution or the Bill of Rights on the American people because the American people are and ought to be free. That was the opinion of the founders. You are free to do whatever you want. These things in the Bill of Rights specifically are prohibited from being legislated by the federal government. There are things that the federal government can do, but these things we specifically said. The Ninth Amendment basically is saying just because we didn't specifically say that the federal government can't legislate that doesn't mean that the federal government is only prohibited from legislating those things. And the Ninth Amendment specifically says, for people that would say, well, it doesn't say in the Constitution that we can't do that, the Ninth Amendment is the specific refutation to that argument, right? If you say, show me in the Constitution where it says that we can't do that, the Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment says that you can't just go ahead and pass whatever law you want. And then, furthermore, the 10th Amendment goes on to reinforce the Ninth Amendment. So the argument that there was an argument that myself and Jack Posobiec were having, I said, you have the freedom, the freedom of expression, and Jack was like, tell me where it says the freedom of expression in the Constitution.
And you're saying the Ninth Amendment blanket covers all freedoms that are not specifically enumerated.
Yeah, it basically says the American people are and ought to be free, which undeniably was the opinion of the founders. You can get into the minutia about what should or should not be legislated. Jack went and said, well, it should be the states that would decide whether or not it should be legal to burn the national flag. And I think that's a bit of a cop-out. That's a bit of taking an exit ramp away from the actual point.
Yeah, but he was comparing it to Roe, which I thought was interesting.
Well, I would argue that we don't even have the First Amendment because in their states in Florida, you can't even speak ill about Israel, right? And I'm very pro-Israel, but isn't that weird that they do limit? They have hate speech laws about one topic.
I think that all hate speech laws are an abomination. All hate speech laws are an abomination.
They have BDS laws.
No hate
So you're
speech
telling
laws.
me hate speech laws don't exist now, Karys, in
Florida?
Yes.
It's Karys.
Karys?
No, they have BDS laws.
What's that?
So that
Boycott,
basically says that
Boycott, divest, and sanction.
so it says that if you're a business that's receiving government funds and as a business entity or an organization that's receiving government funds, you decide to boycott Israel, then the government is no longer going to fund you. Just like it's now threatening funding from against like universities that are like not protecting Jewish students or not protecting women, Title IX protections and stuff like that. That's what BDS laws are, and they're very strong in Florida.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is bullshit because we should be able to boycott anybody we want. So
You should.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the government can give you funding if they don't agree with your values.
So the law isn't that you can't do it. The law is you can't get government funding if you do
Exactly.
do it.
And
That's
you
a
and
different
it
thing.
and it's also and you can do it personally. But it's just whether you. It's
Right.
just
And
about.
They said the same thing about universities. You can't, be racist against Jewish students, or white students or Asian students
and
or any
continue
students.
to get our
And
funding.
continue to get
Exactly.
government funding.
But also, again, it doesn't apply to even individuals boycotting Israel. It only applies to if
Right,
you're
'cause that
doing
would be
business
insane.
with the government.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.